After 99% of regrets are about these three things. Don't make them. As we get older, it's natural to look back on our lives and think about the things we might have done differently. Maybe you've had those quiet moments, sitting in your favorite chair, sipping a cup of tea, and wondering, did I make the most of my time? Well, you're not alone. In fact, after talking to countless folks in their 80s and beyond, I've noticed something fascinating. Nearly all of them share the same few regrets. And the truth is, they're not about money or fame, or even the big mistakes we often worry about. No, these regrets run much deeper. They're about the things that truly matter in life. So today, I want to share with you the three biggest regrets people have after 80, not to make you dwell on the past, but to help you avoid these regrets while there's still time. Because here's the good news, it's never too late to make a change, to choose differently, and to live with fewer what-ifs. Now let's start with the first regret, and this one comes up more than any other. I wish I hadn't let fear hold me back. Isn't it interesting how fear can shape so much of our lives? Whether it's fear of failure, fear of what others think, or even fear of the unknown, it has a way of quietly steering our decisions, often without us even realizing it. I've heard so many older adults say, I always wanted to try that, but I was too scared. Or, I let someone else's opinion stop me from doing what I loved. Take my friend Margaret, for example. She spent years dreaming of traveling to Italy. She'd saved up, read guidebooks, even learned a little Italian. But she kept putting it off. What if I get lost? She'd say. What if it's too much for me? By the time she felt ready, her health made the trip impossible. And now? She tells me, I wish I'd just gone. I'd rather have the memories than the excuses. The thing is, fear doesn't go away with age, but neither does courage. And often, the things we're most afraid of are the very things that bring us the most joy, the most growth, the most life. So ask yourself, what's something you've been putting off because of fear? Maybe it's reconnecting with an old friend, picking up a hobby you've always loved, or even just speaking your mind more often. Whatever it is, don't let fear write the story of your life. Now, the second regret is just as powerful, and it's one that tugs at the heart in a different way. I wish I'd spent more time with the people I love. Time has a funny way of slipping through our fingers, doesn't it? We tell ourselves, I'll visit next month. Or, we'll catch up soon. But then life gets busy, and suddenly years have passed. And what I've heard over and over from older adults is this. I thought there would always be more time. It's not just about big family gatherings or milestone events, though those matter too. It's the small moments, the phone calls that could have been longer, the coffee dates that could have happened, the letters that could have been written. It's the laughter shared, the stories told, the quiet presence of someone who matters. One gentleman, Robert, told me through tears, I was so focused on work, on being productive, that I missed watching my grandchildren grow up. Now they're adults, and I don't really know them. That's the thing, we can't get time back. But what we can do is start today. Reach out. Say, I love you. More often. Put down the to-do list and just be with the people who make your life brighter. Because in the end, it's not the meetings or the errands or the chores we'll remember. It's the people. And that leads us smoothly into the third regret, one that might surprise you. You might think that after a certain age, regrets would center around missed opportunities or big life decisions, and sometimes they do. But there's a third regret that catches many people off guard because it's so deeply personal. It's not about what they did or didn't do, but about how they treated themselves along the way. I wish I'd been kinder to myself. Isn't it strange how we can be so compassionate toward others yet so hard on ourselves? Many older adults look back and realize they spent years carrying around unnecessary guilt, self-doubt, or even shame. They pushed themselves too hard, held on to past mistakes, or believed they weren't enough, not a good enough parent, not successful enough, not something enough. I'll never forget a conversation I had with a woman named Evelyn. At 85, she told me, I wasted so much time worrying about what I wasn't. I wish I'd celebrated what I was. She'd raised 3 children, survived losing her husband young, and still found ways to bring joy to others, yet for decades she focused only on her flaws. "I wish I'd given myself the same grace I gave everyone else," she said. And that's the key, isn't it? Grace. The kind we so freely offer to friends, family, even strangers, but so often deny ourselves. Maybe you've done it too, replaying old regrets, criticizing your body for aging, or feeling like you should have done more. But here's the truth: you were doing the best you could with what you knew at the time. And that's always enough. So how do we start being kinder to ourselves now? It begins with small shifts. Noticing when that inner critic speaks up and gently saying, "No, that's not true." Taking time to rest without guilt. Celebrating the little victories. Getting out of bed on a hard day, making someone smile, trying something new. Because the relationship you have with yourself is the longest one you'll ever have. Why not make it a loving one? Now, you might be wondering, what do I do with these regrets? It's too late to change the past. And you're right, we can't go back. But we can use these realizations to shape the time we have left. Let me tell you about Tom. At 78, he read an article about common regrets and realized he was living all of them, letting fear stop him from traveling, drifting apart from his brother, and constantly second-guessing himself. So he made a decision. I'm not going to add more regrets to my list. He reconnected with his brother, even though it was awkward at first. He booked that trip to the Grand Canyon he'd always talked about. And he started writing in a journal every night, listing 3 things he did right that day. A year later, he told me, "I feel like I've added years to my life, not because I'll live longer, but because I'm finally living." That's the power of awareness. It's not about dwelling on what's past, it's about using it as fuel to light up the path ahead. And that brings us to something just as important as avoiding regrets, something that can transform the way we experience our later years. You know, there's a beautiful paradox about getting older. While time may feel like it's moving faster, we also gain something priceless: perspective. We start to see what truly matters, what fades away, and what stays with us in the end. And if there's one thing I've learned from those who've lived well into their 80s and beyond, it's this: the antidote to regret isn't just avoiding mistakes. It's actively choosing joy, connection, and meaning in the time we have now. So how do we do that? Let's talk about the simplest, most powerful tool we all have: attention. Where we place our attention shapes our lives. Think about it. When you focus on gratitude, you notice more to be grateful for. When you focus on love, you find more love around you. It's not about ignoring life's challenges. It's about not letting them drown out the good. One of the most inspiring people I've met is a 92-year-old named Helen. She's had her share of hardships, losing her husband, battling illness, outliving most of her friends. But when you talk to her, she doesn't dwell on what's gone. Instead, she'll say things like, "Did you see how blue the sky was today?" Or, "My granddaughter sent me the funniest video. Let me show you." She makes a habit of collecting little moments of joy, like seashells on a beach. And because of that, her life feels full, even when it's quiet. Helen's secret? She told me, "Every morning I ask myself, what's one thing that would make today beautiful? Sometimes it's as small as baking cookies or calling an old friend. Then I make sure I do it." That's the magic. It doesn't take grand gestures to live without regrets. It takes being present enough to appreciate the ordinary miracles: a grandchild's laughter, the smell of fresh coffee, a song that brings back happy memories. Now I want to leave you with one last thought, because all this isn't just about avoiding regrets. It's about creating a life that feels rich, no matter how many years are left on the calendar. Here's what that can look like. Say the things you've been holding back. That "I love you," that apology, that story you think no one wants to hear. Say it. Do more of what makes you feel alive. Whether it's gardening, painting, dancing in your kitchen, or volunteering, fill your days with what lights you up. Let go of what doesn't matter. Grudges, societal expectations, the pursuit of perfection. None of it will matter at the end. A man named Richard, who started painting at 75, put it perfectly. I spent so much time worrying about what people thought. Now I realize, they weren't thinking about me at all. And what freedom that is. So as we wrap up, I want you to take a deep breath and ask yourself, what's one small thing I can do today that future me won't regret? Maybe it's reaching out to someone you miss. Maybe it's finally starting that hobby you've pushed aside. Or maybe it's simply sitting quietly and giving yourself permission to be at peace with the life you've lived. Because here's the truth, you still have time to write your story the way you want it to be remembered. Not perfectly, but authentically. Not without sorrow, but with plenty of love to balance it. And if you take anything from this video, let it be this: your years are not just a number, they're a collection of chances to choose differently, love deeper, and live more boldly than before. So go on, make today a day you'll look back on with a smile. And if this resonated with you, I'd love to hear in the comments, what's one thing you're proud of in your life so far? Let's celebrate those victories together. Don't forget to like this video if it inspired you, and subscribe for more conversations like this. Until next time, remember, it's never too late to live a life you love. Here's to making the rest of your years the best of your years.